we are going to spend a lot of time over the next few days, and we brought it up, of course, on I believe it was Monday morning on the program, but over the next couple of days into next week, talking about the new, we'll call it SB 1389. The gun people know exactly what that is, but you got to get beyond that, and I think that it's known pretty much to the public as the new gun law in Idaho, which will be coming into effect July 1st, I believe it is, and we'll ask our guests. In fact, they probably have a better grasp of all of that. It's 8:34 right now. It's 48. You're listening to News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Ken Menzel joins us 2 or 3 times a month from the Twin Falls County Sheriff's Department, and Ken has brought along today one of the experts in all of this as well.
I have. I brought with me today Sergeant Sugden. Sergeant Sugden works over our County West location over at Driver's License, and he also does all of our concealed weapons permits. We briefly talked about this last time I came on your show and thought that it would be good to bring the experts so that we encourage people to call in if they've got questions, and we just hope to maybe clear up some of the confusion that comes along with this new permitless carry bill that takes effect in July.
And a lot of people, I think, out there get the impression this is going to be like the Wild West. You just strap on a sidearm and then you can do and go anywhere you like, but there's going to be a lot of restrictions still that are in place.
That's correct. What a lot of people don't understand is because we put into effect permitless carry come July, our legislators did, if you will, that there's still laws on the books that deem when it's appropriate to use deadly force and when not. You still can't brandish a firearm because you feel like your life potentially may be in danger, or you're mad at the driver next to you because he just cut you off. You can't hold your weapon up in the window and say, "Don't mess with me. I'm packing," if you will. Brandishing a firearm is a misdemeanor. Carrying a concealed weapon onto a school campus, whether it be an elementary school, middle school, high school, college campus, you have to have an enhanced concealed weapons permit in order to carry a concealed weapon. You can't carry a weapon onto a school facility like that if you're permitless carry.
A little slight correction on that one. You're still going to need the enhanced concealed weapon license for the college campus to carry on there, is my understanding from what I've read. Schools are still going to be a no-go.
No, there you go. That's right.
The elementaries, grade schools, high schools, still a no-go. Although there are exceptions to the rule I know all the codes, so this is going to be kind of Greek to somebody, but it's all under Idaho Code 1833. All the concealed laws are under O2. A lot of the weapons laws are under that as well. So 1833 O2D is where the school law is, and you can refine your knowledge by looking it up on the web and finding it.
And you just mentioned the thing there about the web. In this day and age, it is a little easier for people if they do have questions sometimes. They can call you, of course, but they could also, if they want to do a little searching, just go to Google and start doing the search, and maybe they can come across some of this and get those questions answered as well.
They can. The unfortunate thing, though, is some of the stuff that gets published out there isn't always quite accurate. I remember that there was just literally a couple of weeks ago an article that was published in the paper by a gentleman who was talking about, the permitless carry, and he was talking about, who needs a concealed weapon license to go by a school, even drive by a school, things like that. And they were actually incorrect, and it puts a lot of people in a state of panic because they live next to a school or they drive by a school. It's like, slow down. That's why it's important to get the proper training and knowledge. And it's kind of like that one ad. Well, I found it on the net. Bonjour. It's not always true, so it's not always completely accurate.
Is there a limit when you're near a school? I mean, do you have to be so many feet away still, or is there or just as long as you don't step on the ground?
See, there's the confusion because there's a federal law that says you got to be 1,000 feet from a school. Okay. However, if you go to the Idaho Code 183302D and you go down to the section 4, it says there are certain exceptions to this rule. And it actually says that, if you're dropping off children or employees to a school or, school function, that you can do that. You can't walk around on school property or in the school with your weapon, but you can drop off your child if you have one in the car. It says that in the Idaho Code. It also says you can lock it in your car in a non-threatening, unobtrusive manner if you are going into the school. So that's where this confusion comes in between state and federal laws, where the state or the
Hmm.
federal law says 1,000 feet, but the Idaho code says you can do certain things. So I've always looked at it, the state overrides that rule. And it's not the intent of, somebody driving by a school if they're, going out hunting or going out to the target range. Like, I don't see the feds out there, trying to find out if people are having guns in their car while they're driving by a school. It becomes kind of silly at some point.
There's a little bit of the common sense that has to apply in all of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't throw out that common sense thing.
I don't know, in my personal life, sometimes I've tried. But we've got to take a short break. We've got more coming up, and perhaps some folks will have, following the break, they'll have a question or comment as well. And keep in mind, if you don't know our telephone number, that would be 736-0300. 736-0300, and the sergeants will be joining us for the remainder of the half hour this morning. We're talking about SB 1389. That is, of course, the new concealed carry law that was signed into effect and will take place, or will become law later this summer after the governor's signature. A couple of guests joining us in studio this morning, and we're talking about the new concealed carry law, and a lot of confusion, I know, among people out there. And if you have a question or comment for the sergeants while they're in the studio with us this morning, telephone number is 736-0300. 736-0300. You're listening to News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Bill Colley with you, and it's 48 right now, on our way into the lower 50s before the day is over with. We've been having a bit of a conversation off air about some things, additional things people should really know. And Sergeant Sugden, I think you brought this up during the course of the last 3 minutes while we were off air. There's a couple of things right away we should probably address too as well.
Sure. We were talking about where you can or can't carry, even with the permitless carry. You'll still need the enhanced concealed weapon license for college campus, like we mentioned earlier.
Sure.
You still can't go to schools. You can't carry your weapon, in the school or on the school property, where you can leave it in your car, whatever, but you still can't carry it around. There's still federal buildings, post offices, courthouses, jails, detention facilities, things like that. Those are still off limits, permitless carry or concealed. It doesn't matter. They're still off limits. And you will, of course, still need, if you want to travel outside of the state, which is why I'm really not seeing a huge downturn in the amount of concealed weapon licenses that I'm processing, because you're still going to need the concealed to travel outside of the state. And most people are opting for the enhanced concealed because it offers more states out west here, Washington, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. And some people might be confused. It's like, well, wasn't Nevada just good with the standard? Well, yeah, it was, but it was really kind of a paperwork error. And literally, as of a couple days ago, you can get on the state's website and see that it's gone back to enhanced only. So just out west, there's 4 states. Then you go to, back east, Minnesota, Delaware, South Carolina, things like that. So, and I think you're going to probably see more people or more of the states going to the enhanced, simply to have the guarantee that there's some training involved. And that's really probably one of the biggest concerns of everybody everywhere is training. When you talk about the anti-gunners and you talk about their 3 biggest complaints, what are they? Lack of backgrounds, lack of training, and lack of safety. And effectively, you're talking about a hardcore Second Amendment guy, but what have we just thrown out the window? Backgrounds, training, and safety. And so you're opening the door for the anti-gunners to have more arguments. And really, I just want them to stop, because I am a Second Amendment guy. So I don't know, is this going to help us or is it going to hurt us? Then there's, of course, the reciprocity issues with other states. How many states, because they don't want any confusion, okay, so Idaho's gone permitless as far as in-state. We don't want those people thinking they can carry here. So rather than taking it with any licensors who say, you know what, you just can't carry here.
Right. The blowback could be pretty serious.
It could, and that's one of my fears, because, it's like my wife, she actually has her concealed weapon license, and I want her to be, if I travel and have my firearm in the car, I want her to be able, if I leave it in the car, to be covered in as many places as possible, so she doesn't get in trouble. I certainly think that would look bad for my wife to get popped for, carrying a concealed without the proper license. Yeah.
We have a caller with us, and caller, you're up next. You're on the air on KLIX.
Yes, I live within 1,000 yards of a school, so how does that affect me by being right across from the school with carrying a weapon?
Uh, I, I mean, all the same rules applied as before as they do now. Again, if you happen to be some guy open carrying, walking around the school, you're going to get in trouble. That's just bad news. But when we're talking about storage in your house, or if you're transporting your firearm to your car, no, you're not going to be in trouble. I mean, that's again, we're hoping that everybody can keep their common sense with them. It's like, we're not going to be patrolling, knocking on doors to see if, people who live right next to a school have guns, because we live in Idaho and we figure everybody does. So, uh, yeah, you're going to be okay.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
I want to thank you for the call. And again, that number 7360300. Also, we talked during the break about this complaint that people don't want to be interviewed when they come in. And as you were pointing out, you don't do interviews.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion because we do everything by appointment. You got to understand, this is not my only job. I also register offenders. I have many other responsibilities, so I'm a really busy guy, and I've been doing over 100 concealeds a month for the last 4 months. And really, this is all about convenience. I set an appointment so you know you're going to see me. There's no interview. I'm not asking you a bunch of questions. It's merely a time for me to do the paperwork, the fingerprints, and actually an opportunity for you to ask me questions. And that's usually what it's consumed with, is once we get through just doing the paperwork and uh, fingerprints, I show people where to find the official list of states where you can and can't carry, which, by the way, is on the Idaho State Police homepage. Under the quick links concealed weapons, you can find the official list there. But I make sure they know that that's there. And if they have any other questions, it's a good face-to-face thing, And when Sheriff Carter and me talked about this some years ago, when he came on board as the sheriff, we talked about it, and we wanted to keep that aspect of customer service in play, because people have questions, and we want somebody that they can go to and ask these questions, which is what I am.
We have another caller with us, and I do want to point out it's coming up on 10 minutes away from 9 o'clock, and still at 49. You're on the air on News Radio 1310 KLIX, newsradio1310.com.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I've got a question about city parks. How does that either open carry or conceal in city parks? And does this new law change the fact of open carry at all? In other words, is there any issues with open carry?
Well, I haven't looked at the city code. I was told that there's the city code that you can't carry in parks. And I haven't looked at it, to be honest with you. I kind of just go with these state rules because that's really what my guidelines are. As far as the open carry, open carry has been legal in Idaho forever, and it will not change the open carry law as far as it sits. And whether that changes, it won't change anything to do with any city codes or anything like that. The one thing I will always tell people about, look, again, I'm a big Second Amendment dude. I'm all about it. But open carry, I'm really not for that. For one, it freaks out the non-gun toters, the people who haven't grown up in my gun culture. And I don't want to freak them out, because if you freak them out long enough, they become anti-gunners. And again, I just assume not give those people more fuel for the fire. And then, of course, it makes you a target. If somebody is coming to rob someplace, they're going to case it, identify the threat, and eliminate that first. So to me, you just want to go, concealed anyway. But it doesn't change any of those open carry factors as the law currently applies.
And I guess, to add to that is, you go to a park and you're open carrying, depending on what you're going to open carry, something as unobtrusive as a small 38 caliber revolver, or as we see on the news, and you can YouTube it and see some of these individuals who decide it's their right to carry an AR-15 slung around their shoulders with 20 magazines on their hip. You're going to call attention to yourself, and your moms and your kids and people down there throwing the football to their son are going to look at that and feel threatened in some way just because they see you packing a weapon, and who are they going to call? So then we're going to have to respond to that situation, try and diffuse any tensions and hostilities, and you really just call unwanted attention to yourself.
We have another caller with us, and caller, you're up next. You're on the air at 8:53.
Yes, sir. I would like to ask, I currently have an Idaho concealed carry permit. I'd like to change that to an Idaho Enhanced. When I make the application for the Idaho Enhanced, do I have to surrender my current permit?
No, you do not. The Enhanced is actually a separate concealed weapon license, strangely enough. When they wrote the code, you actually have to go through the process just like it's brand new, and I have no control over that. Again, that's state law. So if, say, your current concealed weapon license is good until sometime next year, and you apply today, and say it takes about a month to a month and a half to go round trip to the feds and back. You get issued your enhanced concealed weapon license. You now have two concealeds. It's just that really effectively your enhanced overrides the standard one because it's better in more places. So you don't have to renew your standard, but you don't have to give it up either. I mean, it's just a separate license. You just keep up on the enhanced rather than the standard.
Okay, well, that answers my question. Thank you very much.
You betcha.
There was a conversation a couple of minutes ago about open versus concealed. I had a caller, I think, when you were here last week, Ken, who said that it may have been during that segment that you don't want someone to know. That's the whole notion. You don't want to be parading around because somebody, it may give them ideas.
You don't
right?
want to be the first to go. That's really it. You want to go unnoticed in life when it comes to that. You don't want to be picked out. If it turns out that you do have to, defend yourself in a situation, you don't want somebody looking at you first. Again, they will case it, identify the threat, and that will be the first one that they'd want to eliminate. And I assume they bypass me and maybe allow me the time to defend myself properly.
That's it. Someone comes into a restaurant and they notice, if they're in the parking lot, they notice two walked in with a sidearm.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We have another caller with us, and I've got a couple of callers, I believe. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air. Well, we'll try the next line. Caller, you're on KLIX. Go ahead.
Good morning. This new law, I have a little concern because ever since it's been announced, I've had tons of people tell me that they're going to go out and get a gun now so they can conceal.
Mm-hmm.
They've never even shot. They don't even own a gun. This is my problem, and I am a Second Amendment guy. I have a concealed carry. I agree that you should conceal, not open carry, because it does not, make anybody nervous. But our Constitution and our Second Amendment says we have the right to keep and bear arms, not the right to keep and conceal arms. I think that's something that we should earn the right for by passing a background check and performing some form of handling of a gun and proving ourselves worthy of having that gun. Right now, we're going to have a bunch of people that are going to go out and buy a gun as maybe shot 2 rounds in their life, and they're going to put this gun under their coat.
Please, I'd love to field that one. Look, I feel your pain, and that's been the concern of literally everybody who's come in my office. I haven't really found too many people that are for this because of the lack of training thing. And I always get this, of course, the Second Amendment where they talk about, the well-regulated militia. I don't know of any militia that doesn't train. So whether you're for this, against this, or anything, as law enforcement officers, I've been doing this for 24 years. Even though I'm a desk jockey now, I go through the same training everybody else does. I got to qualify just like everybody does. We're constantly in a training mode. Why wouldn't you want that for yourself? Why wouldn't you want to learn more? So no matter what your feeling is, I just encourage everybody to get more training. The more training you get, the better you are at what you do. So keep on the training.
Want to thank him for the telephone call, and I know probably from the standpoint of anyone in law enforcement, we got a little under a minute to go, but you are going to have to, I know at some point, encounter somebody out there who just decided, well, hey, and unfortunately, it may be unintentionally a dangerous situation.
Sure.
Right.
And they could hurt themselves.
Well, and we've, as law enforcement officers, we're trained regularly to go out, and we just finished training last week. We had 2 days where we had all of our patrol and detention deputies go out and train with their pistols and rifles. And when we're placed in situations where we have to address the threat and we have to pull our weapons out of our holster and address those threats, if for something goes bad and it's a bad shoot, we at least have $1 million insurance policy behind us to cover us for those types of situations. How much insurance does the permitless carry person or the person carrying an enhanced weapon have behind them in case something goes bad for them?
Final thought for me, all I can say is whatever you're going to do, get some training. Just get some training, really.
Yeah, I think that's probably some good advice. As you said, well-regulated militia.
There you go.
Yeah, it's coming up on 9 o'clock news. I want to thank the two sergeants for joining us this morning on News Radio 1310 KLIX, newsradio1310.com. Monday morning, just after 9 o'clock news, we'll actually be talking to the main sponsor of this bill that has now become law in Idaho, right here on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com.